let's get this right on this next one, and that is the hole in the ground, the mining. This is always a contentious debate, argument, slander that I get on forums. Oh, you drive an EV, it's disgusting. All them kids working down the mines, and you know they shouldn't be doing it, and they do it just for your EV. Well, again, I've brought this up in previous posts. You might have seen it. If you have, great. Firstly, the Congo is where these children, okay, and children's families were working as a team, may I add, not just the kids, the whole family, because they were starving, so they wanted to get something to get paid for. And yes, the pay was crap. Kids at 11 and 10 shouldn't be down a mine, or even an open cast mine. I don't agree with it, I don't condone it. But it happened a few times back in the day, and it was caught by the press, and I'm going back about 6 or 8 years ago when this first came about. Well, let me just throw something at you. You know the coffee you drink, okay? And if you're a coffee drinker like me, love a good latte, the chances are that some of that coffee has been picked, hand-picked, even pressurised into doing it by children of 12, 13, 14 years of age in South America. If you don't believe that, I suggest you Google it, because it does happen. Now, you know, I'd love to spread wealth all over the world and make sure everyone gets fed and all the rest of it, but it ain't going to happen through me. It ain't even going to happen through the big, you know, companies. So you'll always have your very, very poor and you're very, very rich. And I'm not going to start, you know, going into politics on that side of it. But back to the kids. If you've got a laptop, it's got a battery pack, okay? And if you've got a camera and it's got a battery in it, all these big high power batteries are lithium based, all right? So when you're using them at a wedding, you're taking photos of your lovely caring family and you think, oh, ain't they lovely, look, they're getting married, and you see all the, you don't think about the lithium in your camera, do you? Now that might be mined by the same children, but because it's going into an electric car, an EV, something that you don't condone and you'll never have, it's a pain in the ass. Shouldn't be happening. So don't twist the truths, okay? You're happy to use it in your mobile phones and you're happy to use in anything apart from an EV. Well, I don't get it. I don't get it. If you buy any electrical product and you put lithium batteries in it, or you've got a battery pack that's, you know, lithium based, then you're as bad as me. So don't preach to the preacher, okay? Just don't. It don't work with me. It goes over there. In there, boom, out there. So if you had a crack at me in a forum, or you've had a debate about the kids down in the hole, think about what you're doing as well. It ain't just me with my EV. Only a very small percentage of that whole battery pack probably needs lithium, cobalt, whatever. I'm going to slash the two together because they are what they are. And as time progresses, I don't think you're going to need any lithium in a battery. It's going to be silicon based. It's going to be man-made. It's going to be synthetic based. Samsung and a couple of others, BYD, are already on that anyway. And even Tesla are debating that within 2 years, they probably won't need any lithium. Now to twist this round, okay, to twist it round, Germany has one of the biggest lithium underground mining capabilities in the world. It's under the River Rhine. Google it. You think it's going to stop Germany going for it? No, it's not. They'll do that. They'll mine that. Won't be no kids involved. But it will still come out of the ground and it's still going to be mined. And the big hole, you say, oh, look at the mess it makes. Look at that massive big hole. That's going to be... No, hold on. What happens when you want to build materials then, or hardcore for the roads? Where do you think that comes out of? There's a town just not far from me now called Mount Sorrel. If you want to see a big hole in the ground, go and have a look at that. That's massive. Nothing to do with lithium or cobalt, but it's a product that we need to continue building houses, making roads. So I don't know where the argument is. I don't find it an argument. As long as things are put right afterwards, or the ground's prepared again, or whatever, and the people around that within a 10 mile, 20 mile radius get something out of it for the disturbance, you know, and I don't see that as a problem. But I do run an EV and I will support that, because at the end of the day, no matter all this mining and all the rest of it, an EV per mile, once you purchased it, okay, is far cleaner than any fossil fuel that you can start and listen and smell. Get behind 20 EVs, you'll smell spring flowers. You get behind 20 diesels, you're dying. But it's just the same with petrol and fossil fuel cars. Where do you think that comes from? It comes from underground. You know, it's not just on the surface and you scoop it up and you pour it in your car, is it? come on, it comes from underground. And you go to Alberta and see the mess in Alberta and other parts of the world where they've left stuff just strewed all over the place once they've had the bloody petrol out, and should I say the oil. Thank God the oil industry is seeing a bit of sense now, or some of them anyway. So yeah, that's the way I look at the hole in the ground. But I think it's the fairest way of looking at it. Let's move on. You can't tow anything with an electric car. They're useless. Okay, this next one really gets to me sometimes, because there are a lot of stubborn people out there who seem to think that they've got something behind their vehicle, 7 days a week, 24/7, every single hour of the day. They do nothing but tow. They can't have an EV because they can't tow. And I've got a caravan, I can't tow. Okay, the towing issue, it's twofold. Firstly, it's a lifestyle choice. Some of the times it's a lifestyle leisure choice. That is, if you want to buy and tow a caravan, okay, don't use that as an excuse not to have an EV. Change your lifestyle. If you have any doubt in your mind about the pollution that big old diesel SUV is causing towing that caravan, and any guilt, right, then you would finish caravanning for now, or you would put a bit more money into the fund and get an EV that can tow. Simple as that. I've got no qualms about it. I don't tow anymore. I used to tow a lot. I don't tow anymore at all. In fact, I've not even towed a caravan for well over 2.5 years now, nearly 3 years. So I'm not just having a crack at caravanners either. This is not a crack at caravan. These are the people, mainly some of my US people who I talk to. They're very, very anti-EV because of their towing issues. And yes, in America they do a lot more towing than we do. They've got bigger rigs, bigger RVs and everything else, and they tow bigger items. But let's get back to mainly the UK for now. If you tow, it's going to be a caravan. If not, it's going to be a lightweight trailer. If not, it's going to be a small trailer with maybe a mini digger on the back at the most. So you go out and buy a Ford bloody Ranger or a Toyota Hilux, biggest diesel thing you can find, not giving a monkeys about the environment, not giving a monkeys about, it's me, I want to tow and that's where I'm going to go. And it's so selfish. Very, very selfish. Now, if I was to say to you there was a car or a vehicle that, okay, cannot tow quite as much, but it can tow, it might sway a few of you. But most of the people I talk to who tow anything behind their vehicle for as a leisure exercise seem to be the most hard to have a proper debate with, because all they say is me, I need to, I. That's it. They would never change their lifestyle to please having an EV and stopping pollution. So I'm going to drop that one there, and I'm going to move on to what EVs are available to tow. There is a few. As we speak now, if you want to tow around 750 kilos, okay, which ain't it's a small caravan, it's a decent sized trailer. There's at least 4 or 5. Go Google it, EVs you can tow with, they'll come up all over the place. I've mentioned this on other forums and on other posts. There are some that can tow a lot more. The Audi e-tron, for example, that can tow pretty well. The new Hyundai, that can tow pretty well. The Tesla, the mid-spec up Tesla models, they can tow really well. In the very near future, for all you rich guys who seem to think that the Range Rover is the dog's box, if you want to go forward in towing but with an EV, you've got 2 vehicles coming up. The F-150 Ford, mainly in America, it will only be left-hand drive for now, but it's full electric. That will tow £10,000. The range will be affected, yes, but not a problem for the UK, because we live in the UK. We're not in the US, we're in the UK, so range is not really a massive problem. Rivian pickup, again, that will be a 65 grand pickup truck, but if you can afford 75 grand on a Range Rover, or a big BMW diesel, or a big top spec Audi diesel, you can afford one of them to tow with. So again, that's a 10,000 or a 12,000 pound tow capacity. I think the Tesla's 5,000 pound. These are big caravans, folks. These are big trailers we're talking here. This is oddball stuff for the UK. This is only a small percentage of people who tow who have that massive vehicle behind them. There ain't that many of us. There really isn't. It's a very small minority. Downsize the caravan. There you go. There you go. Put some money back in your pocket. Just saying. And again, future thinking here now. There are more and more EVs coming on with larger tow capacities. And I feel with the next 3 to 4 years, I don't think you'll have an excuse at all not to run an EV if you're towing. And yes, you are limited at the minute. I know that. So don't start all the comments coming in saying I tow blah 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 and I can't afford 70 grand. There are certain people who I'm pointing at here who could. Some people I know could, because they've got the money. Pretty rich guys, they could do it. Like that smell of big diesel. Oh, it smells lovely. It's a diesel. They like that clack 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 clack. I just cannot get my head around anyone that would do that. But hey. And hopefully that's cleared up some of it. Google it. What can I tow with what tow capacities can I tow with a Mach-E Mustang, Tesla, Audi e-tron? They'll come straight up. They're out there, folks. Okay, please don't be ignorant on forums and say that I tow every day 24/7 blah blah blah. I have to have this big diesel because it's the only thing. EVs are a joke. They'll never tow. They do, they can, and they will. Let's move on. An EV can't give me the range I need. So this brings me up to the last one, range anxiety. And like I've said, the electric vehicle I've got is full electric. Use it as full electric all the time. It's not like a conventional hybrid. This little 0.6 motorcycle engine at the back is purely to get you to the next charger, okay? Which is part of the range anxiety issue. To me, it's not an issue because to me, I only went for the i3 range extender because of my wife. She drives it a lot. She didn't want to be stuck with low range and thinking, oh, I've only got 30 mile left when she's only doing 10 mile in the day. But hey ho, that's certain people's way of looking at it and their range anxiety. To me, I start getting anxious when I've only got maybe 5 or 6 mile left and I'm nowhere near a charger. But that's the stupidity of me if that's the case, because no more the stupidity of you if you're driving an ICE vehicle and you're letting it go down near the red mark. It's just the same. So all these people that moan about them having not enough range, well, I have a few things to argue against that, or debate should I say, because I don't like the word argue, to debate against that. They reckon through studies that here in the UK, for example, and I use the UK because this is where we are. Hello, American viewers. I will be back soon. And it will be a road trip in a full electric car. So let's just take this for the UK and where I am now. If say I work 20 miles away on a daily basis, that outside with 140 in the summer can get me to work and back every single day, no qualms, 3 days on the trot and not even think about charging it up. I've got a home charger, 7 kilowatt an hour. So when I get home I just plug it in, as you see on most of my posts before. So the range to me is not a massive deal. And yes, I'll be the first to admit that my next EV will be one with a little more range. I've already said very openly that I want 200 mile in the winter, which will relate to about 240 mile, 250 mile in the summer. That's the best of best. I'd be very happy with that kind of range. I'd also be very happy with less range in the summer, maybe just over 200. But it's that winter months when I still want to travel a bit further and I don't want to stop. But these people who argue this and say, I need 600 mile range in my EV, I need 450 mile range before I'd even contemplate one, that is what I'm going to have a go at today. You do not need an EV that can do 600 mile range. First of all, if you're running a big engine car, you're not going to get 600 mile out of that 10 minutes at the fuel station anyway, costing you a fortune. It won't do 600 mile on a tank. You're probably looking at 420, 440. So when it comes to range, you don't need the 450, you don't even need 350 to be fair if you live in the UK. The charging system is getting massively better, month on month on month. I reckon in this year alone I've seen 4 new chargers in my hometown. No, sorry, if I count them as locations for, but if I count them as actual chargers, it's probably 8 new chargers. Some of them are free, okay? I've also seen them just out of town coming on board. They're getting better up and down the motorways. So why anybody wants 600 mile or 440, 450 mile range out of their single EV, I honestly don't know why. I stop for a pee, I stop for a coffee, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, bit of lunch. By then I put 100 mile in my tank. What do you need these massive big battery packs for? You don't. Now, if you're towing, I kind of semi-agree and meet you halfway that, okay, it can be a bit of a pain in the ass when you've got something behind you to get into an EV charging point. So maybe you do need a tiny bit more range at that level when you're towing. I can't see why you would want range if you are shopping, if you are taking kids to school, if you are going to see relatives 20, 30 mile away, going to the nearest shopping mall. going to the nearest city, which is normally in England no more than 20-25 mile away from wherever you are. There's always a city with a shopping mall. I mean, where I live now, I live Derby, Nottingham, Leicester, all within 18 miles. So why do I need, if I'm just going to use it for that, why would I need a big massive battery with a range of 350 miles, 450 miles, 600 miles? So if you want to cut costs down of buying an EV, it will affect your range and what you're going to get back. If you haven't got a home charger, it's a bit more difficult, and maybe again I can see why you would want a bigger battery, so that only say once a week you're going to a public charger, and you will pay a premium at public chargers, of course, a lot more than I do pay at home, to charge it up. Now if you're living on a terrace street at the moment, yeah, you're probably in the same boat, but as you can see here, there is a way of doing it, and here there's another way of doing it, and that's lampposts. That's where you're going to get your electric from if you live in a terrace street. Now you won't have to charge up every single day, and this is another fallacy about owning an EV. You don't charge it up every day if you don't need to. You don't really need to charge them up maybe more than say twice a week, once a week even. It all depends on your lifestyle. So range anxiety really should not exist if you buy for your lifestyle, if that makes sense. But don't overbuy, because you'll pay more, you'll have a heavier car, you know, and all the rest of it. And I don't know why you would, when you can get away with a cheaper EV that suits your lifestyle. Plan ahead a bit more with an EV, but why should that bother you? Why should that stop you going and buying an EV and making that lifestyle change now? Make that change, one of my sayings is, you know, electric first, dyno fuel second. Why should it stop you from doing that now if you're scared about a bit of range anxiety? It shouldn't. So no excuses at all, and no range anxiety. I'm not having it anymore, because it does bite me when people say not enough range. Well, again, the only way I'll go back is yes, if you're towing, it will affect your range. Otherwise, don't worry about it. I'm going to end this here. I'm going to say thanks for watching these videos as we go along, and thanks for giving me the thumbs up on the channel. If you've not subscribed and you want a bit more info and you want a bit more education and you're happy with what I'm ranting about, please subscribe. Comment below if you want to. Give me a good comment, have a debate with me, and I will happily debate with anybody. The argument really isn't valid not to own one. Hey ho people, it is what it is, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye all.